Unit 7. Borrowing and lending. Keywords: broke, owe, repay, sum, term, mortgage, deed, collateral, principal, own, debt, risk, credit, default. Borrowing and lending.
At some time or another, someone has said, "I'm broke. Can you lend me some money?" On a personal level, a loan may only involve two friends who borrow from and lend to each other to help each other. The person who borrows the money owes money to the lender. Occasionally, the borrower may sign a very simple agreement called an IOU. The borrower repays the loan when they can, and usually between friends there is no interest charge. There are times, however, when people need to borrow a large sum of money. For example, buying a car requires a large amount of money, and for that we need an auto loan. The interest rate on these kinds of loans is usually rather high, and they are usually for a term of not more than a few years. Another major purchase is a house, and in the United States, banks loan money to people for this. This kind of loan is spread over many years. 20 to 30 years is typical, and it is called a mortgage. The bank holds the deed, the legal document that proves ownership, until the mortgage is paid off. The home serves as collateral. If the borrower fails to repay the loan, the bank repossesses the house. A family celebration called burning the mortgage takes place when all the money, interest, and principal is finally paid off, and the family at last owns their own home. In addition to making loans to individuals, banks also make loans to businesses. From time to time, a business needs to borrow money and thus go into debt to expand the business. If the business seems to be a good risk, the bank will extend credit to the business, allowing it to borrow up to a certain amount. The bank becomes the creditor, and the business becomes the debtor. Countries sometimes need to borrow money, and in the world of international finance, commercial banks often make loans to developing countries. The World Bank, an international development bank, provides special support for long-term development projects. In recent years, however, more and more countries have defaulted on their loans, and the list of debtor nations gets longer and longer. It is not only the poor who are in debt. In the United States, Americans have consumed large quantities of foreign goods, but they have not sold as many goods to foreigners. The result is that the United States owes a lot of money to other countries. With so many people in debt, who are the world's creditors?